Yeah, pump for this one, man. I like the comm on Vito from Shios in particular. I'm excited for it. I mean, first time live casting over Vito action, but just kind of in practicum and just based on what you would assume is the thought process around using it, it seems to make sense. It just comes down to, are you actually able to find the value with it? That's often the case. It's like, it can make sense on paper. It just comes down to the actual execution. Will it actually stall out things like the waylay dives and stuff like that?
It's so funny because, like, as you're saying that, I can see the Tens video that he posted when KO first came out. It was like, I'm never gonna play Duelist again, this thing is broken. And I feel like it was a very similar thing with Vito, but exactly like you said, Shift, it comes down to finding those timings in order to negate a lot of that utility on the entry. And I'm very confident about Alvin Boy specifically playing this Vito because Alvin has been such a strong backbone behind M80, very consistent and very good at finding those kills. And I'm excited to see what he's going to do yet again, because there are some games where I'm looking and it feels like Alvin is the main reason why M80 are winning out a majority of their rounds.
Yeah, I hear that. I do. Well, opening contact for Stunna. A couple of shots will tag Guam, but nothing really too much to worry about yet. Alvin trusted to play the sole defender on the other side of the map. Has the ability to kind of utilize this utility from the walls to just play this back corner pretty darn safely. So a lot of trust that Alvin can hang, especially considering it is just a pistol round, and he may not fully know how many players are in front of him, but for now, it seems like M80 are still pretty confident in their setup.
Destroyed.
Yeah, Pancake's taking a lot of space as well, but Spike is nowhere close nearby, and so it's still quite a bit of time. And I like what Derek's doing here. You know, just use that scan utility to at least get the idea that something is going on here. Once again, Alvin really going to be the person to try and anchor things down while the rest of the team finally will have to regroup. Let's see what Zerona has to say about that, though.
Yeah, indeed the case. This is big for EG. Just trying to watch this rotation through mid. Paint taking a little bit of damage. Same could be said for Bonnie. And there we go. Finally, a couple of eliminations come through, but it favors that of M80's defense. Trying to work their way back in. Still a tall task. And Jake's position could potentially determine how this post plant gets set up, because you shut down one. M80 now have the full flood from the cut. Mitch, the next one up. Pancake's trying to watch the cross. A little bit of assistance is all that's needed. Paint, the last one surviving. 1v2, time becoming an issue, and not holding on for the defuse makes this a little bit easier. Yeah, not enough time to stick for it, and Jake will even find the final kill to get EG the opener.
Yeah, and that time around, like, you know, sure, Alvin left behind, and EG, yeah, they leave behind the spike, and it's looking a little bit slow from both of these sides. But ultimately what happened was, I don't want to call it the difference of decision making, but it's just the slow pace of M80 to very systematically clear out mid that really just kind of runs down the clock on them. And sure, you know, they were aware of the trap that was getting set up there, but at the same time, like, all of that time kind of draining away made it that much easier for EG to just kind of sit down, you know, park it up and just wait for M80 to be able to come through onto them. So kind of works as just kind of like a stall tactic that really M80 stalled themselves out. GMD trying to pick up that orb, but Mitch gonna keep him honest, goes through the spray down as, yeah, GMD's gonna be able to actually get that orb and be able to disappear into the night. So a different look from EG as they play this one nice and slow with 4-man push up though outside of B.
Yeah, and Jake getting one and done would be fine. There's the dash. Nice headshot. Maybe gives him a chance for more, and wouldn't you know it, more is on the table. So 2 for 1. Of course, that commitment call, knowing how many players had pushed up, now has Evil Geniuses looking for the play at A. It's going to be down to GMD. Trying to hold this smoke for as long as humanly possible. A couple of those stray shots moving their way through. Aldrone will reveal this, and yeah, now you're hitting, there's nowhere to go. Pancake stopping the long play around the overextended area, and that will lead to a plant and a very comfortable 4v1.
Spike planted.
And Alvin, last person alive now. We'll just rescue the ghost to try and make this do a little bit more damage here, but you can tell at this point, Mitch, the only person with the pistol in hand, they're just like, hey, go in there, try and find that kill, but Alvin's just gonna more or less keep this one honest. And you know, that initial engagement as well. Oh, no way, Pancakes gets the wall bang there as Mitch goes through, closes that one out. But I was saying, like, you see the push out from B, and Jake able to find 2 kills is actually really good, because Jake only came in with a ghost. You know, all the big weapons were handed to the rest of the team, which was on the other side of the map. The Astra was literally the one agent that EG were willing to risk to go down really early on. So all things considered, like that round happened exactly like EG were kind of planning. And now you can see that, like given the fact that Jake didn't buy up that weapon, we'll have a Vandal moving into this next one. As a matter of fact, it's a full buy up on the side of EG. So they're coming out this one swinging.
Yeah, this is not as much of a bonus as we normally would expect with some investment behind it. The economy is still pretty healthy though, considering the convincing nature of the first 2 rounds,
Right here.
including plants.
Shock dart.
Mitch, shock dart into the smoke, nothing there. Pancakes, meanwhile, gets the sole elimination on Devani, the only defender at B. But this play up towards mid is what we're all focused on, and Alvin will drop. Follow up onto Paint, also good, and M80 just not able to hang on to the ground at mid. So things looking really good for EG early. GMD does get one back. Derek chasing, but not able to connect. And that now splits this defensive effort up into multiple 1v3s, essentially.
They found my trap.
You can tell that M80, they did their homework coming into this matchup. EG, very much trying to take that middle space. And M80 just so aware of that. GMD, an unbelievable kill onto Mitch.
Yeah,
So it's going to be 2v2 now.
Teleport's
Well,
ready.
the spike does get planted, and M80 are going to re-wrap back up to B tower to hit this together by the look of it. And I'm just going to come back over, tries to cut. Jake is very far away, but has a gravity vortex to use with that star position. And that seems to be what they're hoping for. Defensive star now placed. Pancake staying alive, sees a shoulder. Not able to do much with it. Jake gonna step up to try to assist. Here's a swing. GMD gets the first. Jake still alive in the nebula. Sees the barrel, and that's enough. A little scattering in which perspective of which Astra we were watching, but Jake, I think he got the intel off the barrel, able to hold on the trigger, and that's 3-0 up now for EG, and M80 are on to save.
Yeah, and Jake now with 6 kills on the board. Cosmic Divide available just in case. Mitch also having the Hunter's Fury online. Things are just working out perfectly right now for EG Academy. Once again, like a lot of emphasis being placed on this middle ground, except when M80 go in to try and counter them, EG, like they've got someone holding back, someone watching from all the way down here. And so they're making sure to cover all of the potential entry points that M80 might be trying to take that gun duel. And so in a weird way, when M80 are the ones who should be waiting for EG, EG are the ones waiting for M80 to kind of pop out on mid. And this time around, like they abandoned it.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, I actually really enjoy this from EG, maybe in terms of just an overall game plan idea, because if you know Alvin's gonna be by themselves at B, or at least restricted to be playing with maybe one other member to help, why not put some pressure on the defense to have to respond through one of the more difficult parts of the map to fight in, which is that mid-map position. So it all makes sense in terms of the game plan. It's working out really nicely, though, making EG look brilliant as they find a counter the opening first bloods, and that's enough for a 4v3 with, of course, the huge weapon advantage.
Just good util combinations coming out as well. Not even necessarily needing to take a duel, just, you know, use your util to back them all up. It's going to be a 3-man push from behind from M80. But yeah, this long range is not going to work.
Nope, not with the weapons that are in hand. Derek does give you one. Recon bolt, not going to reveal anything. Stunner just waiting for a time to pop up. Pancakes on the close cross. That'll work. Outlaw, go, boom. 4-0 for EG Academy. And now an opportunity for M80 to try to get on the board here. And I won't say it's a must-win situation, but you definitely need to see something. I think in particular, like you've been talking about, something to deny this mid-map vulnerability the defense seems to have.
Yeah, and it's such like a question about that mid, right? Because it's like, well, they really pressured it, so we should probably defend it. But then that, as a result, they pull all the resources away from the other sites, and then suddenly Pancakes is just walking in, being able to secure a couple of kills and make sure that EG can just kick the door wide open. It's really difficult decision making that kind of needs to happen from M80 and trying to read what is going on, but it's a very early Cosmic Divide to try and cut a lot of this noise and give away this mid space for free. But M80, they're ready for it.
Yeah, they sure are. Maybe not even expecting that EG were going to try to play through this Cosmic Divide, but the read is perfect, the response is brilliant, and now the spike is down in a spot that is probably irrecoverable. But we'll see how things unfold. Stunna and Mitch trying to work this together. Well, not together. They're going to work it individually. And how much they actually commit is another part of the conversation, because with 60 seconds left and, well, maybe an opportunity to open up space around the back, there could be something here. And yeah, that's the case. Mitch is going to try to join him through A to see if they can surprise this mid setup.
Look at that. GMD, Derek, and Paint all stacked up together. Like, we're going to just systematically move through and decimate anyone we run into. But the fact that Bonnie is holding back here should be good information, but opportunity right now for a clamp really to happen. Bonnie's not looking the right way. Mitch might get away with this one for free. Never mind. The cavalry is watching this angle.
Yes, they are. And Derek gets the long range shot to land. Up in the corner. Also connects for Bonnie. So there we go. I mean, through what was a really cheeky idea with the Cosmic Divide, M80 don't falter or really even bend at all. So that's exactly what the doctor ordered for an M80 fan.
Like, it was a strategy, you know. You're right about that. The big issue with what happened there was Paint was on the right side of the Cosmic Divide. And so a lot of that space that EG were expecting to walk away for free with, all of the footsteps get heard, and then the comm comes through from Paint to let all the other people know, hey, by the way, they're just kind of running it down. And so all of them were like, all right, we'll just wait for them to walk through the Cosmic Divide. And so a little bit of a cheeky idea, but I don't think it was well executed in that sense, as this time Alvin actually with the operator, which is a little different.
Whoa, hold on a second. Okay, thankfully you're able to get the cross cut to get back to safety. Pancakes gives you the one though, and stun us space with EG diving into the site. Will take down Alvin off of his retreat back to the teleporter. So now you've got a post plant 5v3, and honestly, if you're M80, you're likely saving in this instance, unless you can find one on this opening contact. But this is a really tough ask to jump into. You do have a null command, though, if you can find one, but here come EG. They're going to try to bully out the A long play. Stun is able to give you one from the front. And yeah, there's just not really much of a lifeline here for Derek. Caught kind of a no man's land.
Zerona shuts that one down just after the bonk as well to make sure Derek doesn't get up to anything. And I really got to compliment EG to play off of the waylay there. I mean, once again, Alvin being the person with the operator, kind of playing it like that pseudo chamber style that we've seen so often. You know, you go for a shot and then you teleport away. But this time around, you know, comboed off of the saturate that stun tosses onto the ground. Make sure that, hey, the amount of time between those two operator bullets that can fly out is next to 0. And as a result of that, like, EG can just flood in off of all the space that Stunna was able to gain off of just a little bit of utility that Zerona tossed in onto the site. When we highlighted that kind of initiator head-to-head between Paint and Zerona, I mean, Zerona is the one who goes in and makes the plays. Paint is really good at supporting the plays.
Yeah.
And we can, in that last round, I think that did an excellent job at demonstrating how Zerona likes to play the KO, to be so proactive to allow Stunna to fly in onto it. And right now, it really feels like EG have taken a lot of time to work on their synergy in how they want to hit the sites and coordinating all of their utility, because it's really just looking squeaky clean.
So with 4 ultimates available and mostly full weapons, M80 will come off the timeout. And how do they want to set this up? I mean, you've got some choke point control of utility with an interceptor and chokehold at B. That Bonnie could play off of with an opening angle, but it's going to be instead a lot of resolve surrounding this A site, which, we'll see how things kind of unfold with that, because the Aldrin's already getting a lot of early clearance from the back of B. And that's something that, again, as an op holder, you have to be very cautious about. And conversion path's going to come through as well. That doesn't really do too much to dissuade this defense, but it will pull some focus back through mid where Pancakes is waiting.
I was going to say, at least they're able to get the convergent paths out without real any issues. And once again, we're seeing one of the, I wouldn't call it a problem yet, but one of those technicalities of how EG like to play this. The spike is slowly making its way over now onto this B site, given the fact that Sun is able to take all that space. But that allows plenty of time for M80 to rotate around and get themselves set up and ready to go. This one is going to be a brawl between the two.
Well, the knife will be sent out. Here comes the opportunity to plant on the backside of B. I just don't know how you stop this right now. If you are M80, the answer is you don't. No command's going to be spent. That's on the offensive side for Zerona. Evolution comes through for Alvin. So you're trying to play off of the opening contact. Cosmic Divide now going to get the defense a little bit extra forward. Flash behind it for Zerona, trying to stall this as long as humanly possible, and maybe get some more time for Pancakes to make this long wrap around the back. You have to hold if you're EG Academy. Give time for Pancakes to make a play. Alvin gives you one. Paint down for now. But on the defuse, it's going to be M80. You got to try to get there in time. Pancakes is not here yet. Jake trying to get there. Pancakes able to find one. The spike diffuser is taken down, just down to Alvin now. Paint will expire. It's the halfway. Shoulder from Jake works out. And it's EG who wins the round thanks to Pancakes just barely getting involved.
That is craziness kind of coming through there. One of the big things that personally I have a problem with how M80 like to play a lot of things is that it really feels like they need to group up before they move in. And that ticks off precious time on the clock, right? Like it takes them so long to be able to get themselves set up and ready to move in here. But this time around, it's just the wraparound from Pancakes up top that M80 had no idea about. While it feels like M80 are starting to clean that up a little bit more in the sense that they're like more ready to attack. They know what's going on. It's looking a lot more coordinated. They just simply did not account for Pancakes to be kind of that knife in the back, and it all just falls apart.
Yeah, and it really does come down to the difference of hundredths of a second on the timing of all that, because the spike was so close to being diffused on the hold. But EG do just enough to stall out for Pancakes to get there. You get the spike diffuser taken off, and now the eco starts to flip back in favor of EG to very convincing natures. And that was a lot of ultimate that were spent right there for M80. All they hold on to are the paths. So, hindrance in the arsenal. And the defensive conversions will come through immediately. Bonnie doesn't like the look of it, though, and will back away, leaving Alvin kind of by himself for now. Smoke will fade, but Alvin's able to connect for the first.
Excellent first headshot there as Bonnie finds the second, and yeah, M80 doing a good job of holding things down. Lostana finds one.
Alvin gives you one more. Paint right there with it. And how about that's how M80 get their second round? A little bit of a stand tall moment for Alvin. Everyone else able to flood just in time, and I think maybe most importantly, no hold off at mid this time. You can see the stack up even at this point in the minimap. Nobody from EG even bothering with mid. They're thinking they can bully out the defense. Not the case. Big stuff from M80 to get around back.
And M80, that was purely just off of that interceptor play. All of the utility that gets tossed in onto that B site that EG really like to initiate off of, and once again, looking really clean when they like to play off their utility, just gets completely neutralized. Whether or not it's the knife, whether or not it's the dash in, whether or not it's the flash flying through, that allows just enough of a stall for M80 to find it.
This is bold for Bonnie, and will be punished.
Oh,
wow,
no.
Paige just flashed everybody, but...
oh, and himself too.
Yeah. So this will be EG with a free A site. M80 will need to make a decision here in what they want to do. I mean, this is a tall ask for a 3v5 with the Cosmic Divide still available. And kind of as mentioned from rounds prior, you need to find an opener and then something quickly behind that. Nova Pulse out. Alvin does give you one. What a swing from GMD. Pancake's not able to find the trade. So now you're playing purely off of a deep post plant. Derek connects onto another. Fragment out, flash behind it, and keep your eye on Jake. Trying to get there. There's the gravity vortex, pulls off the diffuse. And now you break the wall. Nice swing from Zerona with that contact coming through, but off the reload, GMD is sticking for the diffuse, and you're not able to find him off of it. Alvin saves the day for 3, and a 3v5 comes through for M80. A bold retake works out perfectly, now just down 3.
A bold retake indeed, especially when your recon dart flies off the edge, unfortunately, for where Derek wanted to place that one. It's all good though, because comes in absolutely fragging. And this is one of the things that I want M80 to pay a little bit more attention to. Obviously, Alvin, once again, being the highlight player on M80, but really important is to watch for those flanks. Pretty consistently now, M80 have fallen victim to the EG wraparound before. Obviously, the Pancakes being the big highlight there. But that time, watching for Jake made sure that it was not going to happen, and they're able to stick through that defuse. So good small adaptation and awareness being generated from M80's side.
That was insane. Legitimately insane. Okay. Alvin. Different corner this time, has stars to play off of around this jump, and Alvin is starting to heat up. Another nice little vanilla raw check that works out for first blood onto Zerona. Important to note that, because that's your flash to try to get into these sites. And with Bonnie holding an op on the other side of the map, as long as he doesn't get picked, this should be a round that M80 are going to feel really good about. But here comes the walk down, and yeah, Bonnie is able to connect onto Stunna, trying to look for more, could still potentially dash away, and wants more. But do you expect him to be this close? Really good saturate, but can't quite make good on it. Force into shorty behind it, and then you retract backwards. Meanwhile, Alvin finds a straight kill into Pancake's other side of the map. So M80, big number situation here.
30 seconds left.
Yeah, great number situation for them. And with 30 seconds just left on the clock, I think the call is being made right now to potentially go for that save. The economy not necessarily stacked together. And Derek says, hey, economy's not looking good. Well, it's going to look a whole lot worse. Jake, at least able to even that one out. But Cosmic Divide already online. And now this is all just for bonus points at this point here, Shift.
Yeah.
Concealment.
Yes, it is. What a nice little turnaround this is from M80, though. I mean, there's something to be told about winning a Thrifty, sure. But the fact that you can carry that into another heroic 3v5 to now your first actual convincing defensive round. So the narrative starts to shift just a touch here. EG will be dealing with some financial difficulties as well, and now they're talking about it. Yeah, so that's kind of what I was kind of softening up to. All right, can we start to talk about that conversation? Because it really is trending towards M80, obviously, in the last 3 rounds. But it's just in how they found the wins that, you know, you need to start talking about it for NRG Academy.
And I think that there's a good conversation that has to be made right now about the impact of Vito here specifically. Obviously, Alvin, yes, Fragger, fantastic, woohoo. Alvin can shoot gun, very good. Find lots of heads, fantastic. But it's the interceptor that causes EG to have so much pause in trying to deal with it. It's almost like the interceptor occupies just enough mental space for them to really slow down and kind of scratch their heads on when they want to move in. Because as you've seen, they want to initiate off of what Zerona can kind of find them when they move in there. It feels like they're very reliant on that initial flash to fly in there. But if we don't know where the interceptor is, this could be really bad. So now we have to use a lot of our utility to try and clear it out. And then by the time that kind of happens, then Alvin's going to take a step up and find you, you know, with a flash in hand ready to go in. And so it's almost more like putting together a puzzle piece on how to deal with the Vito rather than Alvin kind of playing Vito to the best of its capacity. It's like the presence alone makes it that much more difficult.
Well, I think on top of that, there's also just the fact that trying to take the interceptor out is difficult based on, it's just sitting on the backside of a wall that you have to push aggressively through to even get a look at. So you're right, it just stops the execute from having any source of force outside of maybe sheer numbers where, like you mentioned, Alvin is dealing with it just by his individual ability. Paint trying to slow down this Cosmic Divide push through with the fragment. Good reveal behind that as well. So Paint can hold. Thought even to bother with the waylay initially, and has a chance to re-clear this with the pop flash. That's exactly what's going to happen. First blood good. Reveal on the backside of it. GMD thinking about moving through. Is able to find 1, make it 2, make it almost all 3. Stunna able to retrieve a weapon though, but is a bit stuck, or is he? Okay. 1v2 now.
Doing a thing.
Oh, it almost gets to saturate the land, but Bonnie connects, and we'll have a 1-round game.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about the... okay, Bonnie. That's the thing about the operator. It go boom. As long as you get that initial bullet, you're going to be fine. And that time around, like, I think that this is just Paint kind of play into that duelist prowess. Obviously, the highlight made before that the best points were really making is the fact that Paint used to play duelist for Shopify Rebellion and was doing a fantastic job with it. Generally speaking, playing the Yoru, very comfortable off of those individual flash plays and move in. And it just took just enough information away from EG to allow GMD to kind of set up there. Bonnie, with the operator here, trying to do an ego check against Pancakes, will find that kill to shut that chamber down. An excellent way to start off this last round and a half.
Yeah, that's just one of those things that if M80 can find success with Alvin hitting shots, but now you've got Bonnie really connecting with the operator, this is just such a problem for EG. Trying to exit 7-5, but down on numbers. Zerona's going to hit the null command. Paint does not have his yet, but the Hunter's Fury and the Evolution are available. You have to imagine some sort of a Hunter's Fury clear to allow the Evolution to step forward for free would be on the way. Will that actually happen? That's the different question. And here's the owl drone to start. Any resolve there? No, it's Jake finds two. Hunter's Fury behind this is a little bit too late. You can just sidestep this now. No pressure forward for the M80 retake. They do connect onto one. Zerona in some trouble. It gets into the nebula, avoids the flash. Mitch playing by himself on site. But the timing for Zerona could possibly win this round outright. Oh my goodness, Mitch somehow still takes down one. Cosmic Divide ready for GMD. Jake and Zerona trying to play the 1v2. Nova pulls out. Oh, and you've got to find, hopefully, yeah, Gravity Vortex to pull him off of it. Shorty, that'll work.
Oh my
Derek
goodness.
for one in response, but there's no way.
Yeah.
Jake will finish off the round. It's a 7-5 half.
Great stuff there. I like the idea at the very end. GMD kind of using the Cosmic Divide just really to kind of section that one off. But I had the question about, like, you know, how close up are you going to make that one happen? Because there's not a lot of room, and especially if someone pushes through with a shotgun, not a lot of good reaction time. Mitch somehow able to find that kill, makes it that much more difficult for the squad to kind of win. But it came down to a little bit of a brawl onto that B site. And now EG end off that half 7-5, which is kind of, you know, exactly what they wanted. I will say M80, or sorry, EG a little bit better on their attacking side, so you would have liked to see them pick up just a couple more rounds, whereas when it comes to M80, it's more favored onto their attacking side, although they tend to be a little bit more even split, so this really still could go either way here, Shift.
It really could. This pistol, obviously very important for that fact, but I will say, M80, that's a really good response. But EG, yeah. There's this feels like there's something in the air with Pancakes right now. Connects onto the Headhunter. Jake dancing, but not able to find anybody. So Alvin responds quickly, and Pancakes is out of there. Now the defense has to rotate, and it's going to be a 4v4 post plan on the terms of M80 with some good site presence, honestly.
Yeah, actually, buying up the Bandit here for Alvin. That's a confidence play and a half, but like you said, good positioning. Bonnie is going to be the real big piece. If he can get away with a couple, that's going to be huge.
Wow, Bonnie. Huge from Bonnie. And I was going to say, for maybe not done yet, but that three, that will dictate the outcome of this pistol. Unreal. Not only to find the heads, but how fast the trigger was pulled on top of it. Goodness. It's like he had a stim beacon in front of him. So now it's just down to Mitch. There won't be any time for him to play for the defuse to see if he can find any consolation kills. Not going to happen, but I mean, are we kidding with that trigger speed for Bonnie to find 3 headshots? That was insane.
I was going to say, like, the retake there, kind of crossing their T's, but forgetting to dot their I's, because obviously the flash was fantastic. It completely full blinds Bonnie, which means that would have been the time for them to push in, except they're all kind of just walking in like, oh yeah, the flash should have by itself cleared that position completely. As a result of that, Bonnie just walks away with murder. Is able to get through to close out that round. So an excellent little position, kind of getting set up by M80, and a little bit of a misplay coming through from Evil Geniuses. Now though, it's off the edge. Woohoo! Looking to maybe get a little bit, but 3 members already down, and yeah, Bonnie finds that kill.
Be right back.
Later.
Bonnie gets the kill anyways.
Yeah, not much you can say there. Yeah, Bonnie getting credit for it, though, is pretty solid. Love that. Okay, so now we reset everything into the 7-7 count very quick, and now we look into what this bonus will look like for M80. Of course, it'll be a true bonus after that comes out. And yeah, okay, Bonnie does get a little tag there at the end, so good credit for early convergent path charge.
Need a drop. Gun
But
here.
Guardians, from the offensive side,
Gun here.
not the worst case scenario, considering that you can kind of set things up on your terms in terms of what you want to peak, and you figure that's going to be in a lot of battles at mid. At least that's the early idea, and that will be the case.
Now, once again, this map specifically, very long-range battles are what you kind of anticipate. So the Guardian buy to me makes a lot of sense here. As a Pate clearing things out, trying to get that middle presence here, but it's just a poke and prod at EG's defense. Spike's still all the way back here. Get your people into tricky positions, maybe find 1 or 2 pickouts here, but EG, they full rotate their entire roster over to try and defend mid just in case.
Well, no contact immediately. Stun is going to give him an opportunity, and that's what we're talking about. That pick from Alvin now starts to lean into a spike collection. And do we choose to follow this up with any extra force at mid. No, not the case. Alvin will just sit here to play the pivot man. Everyone else is going to try to focus on the front doors. And it'll be Mitch, the first one up, sitting close in this nebula. He hears the orb, here's the owl drone, but paint is covering both. And the convergent paths will have M80 diving on into A. Wow. Double whoa. Oh, wait, hold on a second. EG are somehow fighting this back. It looked like the full force was going to work out, but oh my goodness. No, pardon me? I mean, we were swapping perspectives so quickly, it looked like M80 were going to crumble that defensive setup, but not the case. It's the early shutdown, maybe not enough follow-up onto Bonnie's dive forward, and just like that, NRG Academy steal away around.
I think M80 kind of baited themselves into that one. The convergent paths and flash looked amazing. And then they just full W key it like, heck yeah, guys, it's time to go in there and find our kill. But then Pancakes just kind of slowly walking forwards there from the back, like trying to give a little bit of support onto the site. As a result, dodges both of those. And then it's just free pickings, enough time to make sure the convergent path expires. And so then it's just free range for EG to just dominate them. Little bit of weird stuff happening there as GMD takes that initial duel.
Well, here we go again. Early scuffle. We'll have Bonnie and Derek, the last ones up. Bonnie takes a lot of damage out of that shock dart, but Mitch doesn't expect the follow-up. So, hold your horses. 2v2. Bonnie is low to be sure, but this is still very winnable for M80 in what has been a chaos round.
And like EG, you can tell they're like, we don't know what's going on anymore, but M80 are sitting there like, we don't know what's going on anymore. It's just kind of like a patience game while playing off of Derek's contact at this point. And sure, you just have to wait a little bit longer to make sure that the recon bolt can kind of come back together, but just play this one together. Bonnie, 9 bullets in the gun. EG thinking the exact same thing. Let's play this together as they push out into A. And so this should allow M80 plenty of time to get the spike down, as long as that's their main goal and not hunting.
Well, Bonnie will get access into B. No one home, of course. So it just comes down to where do we want to put the spike for our post plan? And it's a location that makes you believe that M80 are not going to vacate the site. They're going to try to hold this from either the backside of the ledge or just from on site in particular. And that's indeed the case. So we're just going to get a raw 2v2 here in front of the site.
One enemy remains.
And there's the first. So now it's just on to Bonnie. Tall ass with 19 health to do this, and that's why. Trying to take the angle away, trying to find the timing, not going to happen. NRG Academy up to 9-7.
Yeah, great round from EG onto that retake, but you could see like M80 kind of psyching themselves out there. Because of the time crunch that was kind of going on, they weren't able to fully clear things out, and so they have to expend the utility from Derek to make sure that they're not coming from spawn. But in the midst of all of this kind of like chaos that's been going on, it didn't give them adequate time to get themselves set up properly onto the retake. They had no idea where NRG Academy were going to be coming in from. And so then all of that afforded time meant that M80 just kind of got stuck. And so they were forced to kind of take the 1v2 in both of those scenarios, and it really allowed EG to kind of close the door on anything that could have happened that Derek and Bonnie were going to try and put together. So a great round from them. EG now up to 9. It's going to be more pressure onto mid. That tends to be the name of the game, but it's Pancakes all the way down there with an outlaw in hand.
Well, this could get interesting. M80 are looking to just bully ball out this setup for EG. Utility being exchanged on both sides. Stunna not loving the look of it, dashes out. Mitch though on the corner. No, and a little bit of a bait forward. Has Mitch now trying to hold his ground as long as humanly possible, and that smoke will deter the remainder of this fight. Keep an eye on the minimap though. You've got Jake taking away a lot of space for the rotate, and you've got Pancakes rotating in, just making sure no one hits through mid. So this is going to have to be a commit onto A for M80.
Man, if Serona had just a little bit of a faster firing gun, that could have been deadly. EG setting up a trap that time to make it seem like nobody could possibly be in that corner. You know, you see Mitch back out, completely walk out, and then you see Stunna fly through. Surely no one's there. And yet it all kind of falls flat on its head as M80 makes sure to clear that one out as well.
30 seconds
Good awareness as they look to move into the site.
Well, Bonnie, not able to find much besides the first. Pancakes responds, and yeah, that's just one of those things that you just have to hit this, and it's not a fun choke point to go through.
I have the spike.
So Derek will be by himself with 1v3. Has the space to plant and give himself a chance until JK finally converts on that long flank. So 10-7 now the count. EG in a really strong position with the economy crippled for M80.
Yeah, and that time around, like you can see, it's just there's nothing really left over, and so they just are forced to kind of walk straight through the smoke here. And sure, the Hunter's Fury does a good job at least getting a little bit of space, but it simply isn't enough really to deter the members of EG who are just waiting for them to flood in through. There wasn't that like proper attacking support that you would have expected, you know, with that waylay combo potentially flying through and using the saturate, comboed by Paint's flash. A lot of those pieces just didn't come through on that initiation, which resulted into them going through and EG honestly just kind of holding their ground and spraying through the smokes. And so this is a good time for M80 to kind of cool off their head as their map pick is very quickly slipping away from their grasp.
Okay. What do you even try to set up here? And I will say, like, as we start to look into the deeper parts of this offensive half for M80, you don't want to be stuck in a position to where you don't have flexibility to set up different looks and modifications for each attack. The last thing you want to be is this play has to work. Like, because you would love to be able to set up some conditioning, especially when you're on full purchase, but that door may have already closed. I think especially considering that the Tour de Force is ready, the Hunter's Fury is ready, you're going to have a null command that you have to fight up against. You're not likely to win this upcoming round due to the economy. I don't know, it just kind of feels like after winning the pistol and the anti-eco, not finding either of those prior two rounds is very daunting in terms of setting up the rest of this half. That's a great reveal from Mitch. Shock dart just to say, hey, I know you're here. And actually, I believe it does tag a couple of the players from M80. Yeah, GMD, I believe was maybe tagged by that. Hard to say, but Mitch was still looking to feel the pressure and just hang.
Well, it was a twofer, I think. Got information on two people, but given all of that's going on, yeah, this is the right call from Evil Geniuses. Had to make their way through. They're going to be clearing things out here. Mitch spotting out a shoulder. The rest of M80 getting ready to push in through.
Well, this could be interesting on the flip side because this battle at mid may determine the outcome of the round. And EG will find the initial trade. Pancake still committed to playing off this good flash coming through, but Pancake still connects while Flash and Zerona stops the opposite angle. Last one left to beat. Derek, nowhere to go. So you drop one in the process. Mitch does a lot of the work, honestly, for you to know that, yep, this is a play at through mid. EG, get the rotation over. Pancakes gets one through being Flash. And now you're in do or die territory for M80. This next setup has to work.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, just good comboing coming through from the Evil Geniuses side. And while I feel like the course of challengers so far, M80, you know, they look their weakest when they first started out. This is another one of those teams where you put together a roster of all these well-known tier 2 players, and the hardest part is going to be making sure they gel together well. Versus Evil Geniuses, it really feels like they've gotten to that point where they're playing very comfortably off of each other, where M80 are still staggering a little bit. And it's in those moments that, you know, in those massive team fights, EG are just going to really have the better setup and better communication to make sure that everything is going to be covered.
Okay, well.
There.
M80 I feel like are going to recognize the importance of this round, and I imagine a lot of the timeout from prior is going to be focused on what they want to do here. But look at this little walk up from NRG Academy just to try to watch that cross at B main. That little bit of intel, I have to imagine, has Mitch very antsy at the back of the defensive spawn. Same can be said for Jake, rotating over from A. Evolution will come through. Jake's going to be able to just give himself a little bit of space to work with. This first contact could be critical as the hit is underway. But would you ever expect Jake to be here? You don't. He's able to find two. Does he get all three? Yes, he does. And Jake has EG feeling good here in round 19.
Spike planted.
Oh, Hunter's Fury as well coming out from Mitch just to kind of clear a little bit of space. You asked me a little bit preemptive, but this is going to be just a 5v2 retake. GMD and Derek up against the world.
Last player standing.
Nope. Derek,
Oh.
wait. Surely not. Not with this little Clay from Pancakes and no. It's
My
just
heart.
one of those moments, dude, same. Literally same. I'm sitting here like, I guess if there were a player you want to be alive at this moment, it's Derek, but it's map point for EG on M80's pick. Now, I will say M80 will have ultimates to play with, but the eco is not comfortable, and the forced purchase will have them a little hindered.
Oh, man. It's just so good. And Jake, being one of those players who's been around for tier 2 for quite some time after making a brief debut on tier 1 and then just kind of coming down to tier 2 and really has made a name for himself. I mean, some of the teams have not been super successful, but Jake has just been such a strong component to every single team he's been a part of. And especially now under kind of the structure that EG provides this tier 2 team, I'm imagining you're going to be seeing a lot more of the team being able to accommodate that kind of play and being able to step up to the plate to make sure that it's supported.
Well, here's an opener. EG just trying to hit the gas pedal and hit him with an uppercut. And they've got a lot to play with in terms of affordability, so why not try a curveball here? But Alvin shuts that down. Little crossfire setup here at the front gates at A. You would have to line everything up though. Aldrone doesn't get any tags. Here comes the convergent paths. Jake gets you one, but just cannot respond to the flash in his face. So that will likely be the outcome of this round here. It gets M80 their 8th as Zerona, well, I don't imagine he'll give this much of an effort. And yeah, it looks like he's just gonna peel off the back and make sure he doesn't get chased.
And yeah, sure. I mean, that round doesn't quite go the way that EG Academy wanted it to. Like, you know, the rush out onto mid, they're hoping to find a couple more things, and obviously not being able to find the kills necessary and just kind of getting shut down. It doesn't quite work out well for them. But then you look at their ultimates and you're like, oh my.
For real.
That is a lot of ultimates to use here in a penultimate round. Obviously, the buy will be good for them this time around. So, you know, they got more than enough weaponry to kind of come into this one. And sure, Paint does have the null command available, which could stall things out a little bit longer. GMD as well has that cosmic divide, but there's still a lot of tools right now for EG to use to try and make sure that this is going to be over. Already, it's going to be a duel in mid yet again.
Well, Alvin still gives you one while being flashed. Mitch up top is thinking about it, but gets turned away. And hold on a second. That may be a little bit of an overheat right now for EG, kind of throwing away a couple of lives. You got the tour de force out, and you obviously understand that Pancakes can hang and hold the zone at B, but this force at mid gets stifled again, and M80 are cooking.
All right, EG. Let's maybe not push out on mid next round.
Heard that, dude.
I think that might be what is going wrong here, because they're consistently just walking into M80 setting up. And now, hey, you know what? At least we didn't use all of our ultimates. Only issue is M80, yeah, they're going to expend a couple of their own to really make sure this is going to be tough. Pancakes cannot use the tour de force.
Well, a couple of the tags are in. Pancakes still alive, but only barely gets himself one. I don't know if that'll really turn the tides too much, but null command cosmic divide does give you a consideration, but maybe less of one now that M80 have hit one of their own. Tough call to break through this, but trying to make it work. Jake going quickly. He's going to reward himself with one. Now to the 2v2. Derek playing deep. Alvin on the site gets blindsided. So now it's just down to, can you actually do much with this? 100 Fury is out, and you get a shock dart elimination. That'll stall things quite convincingly, but the Cosmic Divide's in play. Zerona to halfway and more. Derek trying to get there, swapping between weapons, and it gets defused. There's no way, dude. He wasn't sure what to do. Knife or shorty, and maybe that small moment of indecision cost them an extra round. There's no way.
Oh, man.
The most chaotic map we've seen maybe in Challengers yet ends like that.